Welcome to Truth or Reps. Attention. Attention. This is actually a rap video. Um, so, these are some of the lyrics, and it doesn't have to be rap, but it will be at least some rap. These are some of the lyrics that I've heard people talk about throughout the ages of my days and my ages. These are some of the lyrics that people have pointed out as being lyrics that they got a real kick out of. And I'll name some for myself as well. But these are sort of good examples of, like, I don't know exactly what lines of propaganda went into what and what strings are being pulled where, and that may certainly account for a lot of what people point out as like, oh, I really like this lyric. But I look back to these times, and at least for these cases, it seemed like a pretty genuine spark of interest for these particular lyrics in real people, in my friends of the time, whenever the time was. And not only that, but uh, we were younger. Like, essentially, I think it was mostly before I was 18 that, like, these would have come from. Maybe a little after, I don't know, but those were the days where you would, like, hear a song lyric and say, like, oh, that's really cool, or like whatever. And so it's sort of like there's a sincerity baked into that as well, where you'd imagine in some ways kids are probably hit and affected the most by propaganda, but in other ways kids are probably hit and affected less by propaganda, or at least there's enough sincerity within them to point something out sincerely, even when a lot of the other stuff that they said might not be. So, what do we have for this then? The first one, I think this might be the earliest one that I'm going to mention, and I remember it because actually I remember like even back then, like, not really having a strong reaction in support of this. I didn't. I was still, like, sort of back in my really, like, back in the days where when somebody said something, you sort of, like, accepted it. Like, it wasn't like you would, like, go to bat for it yourself, maybe, but, like, you sort of, like, if somebody said something like this, you'd sort of be like, you'd sort of put that in neutrally into a category of, like, statements about things, and, like, I don't know, you'd be a little more willing to accept what somebody says, really, no matter what it was. So it was kind of dangerous. But, like, for example, this kid said, like, he was talking about this Green Day song "American Idiot." So it wasn't like I wasn't that young. Like, I was born in March 1990, whenever American Idiot was. You tell me. But it wasn't that long after the song came out. But it wasn't, like, right away either. I think it was within, like, the yearish period after the song "American Idiot" came out from the album. Um, I like that album, by the way, especially, like, the song "Jesus of Suburbia." I've gotten a real kick out of that, but partially because there was a 7-Eleven reference, and it seemed like, I don't know if they were specifically talking about New Jersey, but it seemed like sort of a New Jersey kind of thing. Maybe they were talking about California, but I've sort of said this before or thought about it this way. New Jersey is kind of like a mini California in some ways. It's like, sort of, look at the shapes of them. The shapes are sort of similar, but they're kind of just reversed. Of course, New Jersey's smaller, but it's still pretty tall. Like, if you're driving north to south through New Jersey, or even south all the rest of the way through New Jersey from a place like Monmouth County or something, I think it's a pretty long drive to, like, get anywhere other than New Jersey. Like, it feels like you're on that road for a while. And the New Jersey Turnpike, people are, like, driving 80 and stuff. So or, like, they're driving pretty fast on the New Jersey Turnpike. So, and it feels like it takes a while to finish the damn thing. So, in terms of getting to the end of it and going to another state, if that's where you're headed. But, yeah, so it felt sort of New Jersey-ish. The vibe felt sort of New Jersey-ish, a little Bruce Springsteen-y. That's kind of a New Jersey-ish vibe, at least for the area that I was in, the shore. I loved it there. I'm sure there are a bunch of horrible things about it, but I still like felt a sense, like, to the point where, like, one time when I was driving east through Pennsylvania, when I got into New Jersey, I felt like, and New Jersey wasn't even my home at that point, but I felt like I was going to Rhode Island, but I felt like a real, like, sense of, like, relief and a cool down kind of thing happened energetically when I got into New Jersey. It was like, I don't know, but this kid in New Jersey, he said, like, he was pointing out a line from American Idiot, something about, like, mind fuck America or something. Let me actually look it up. But he said, I think he said like that. I think he referred to the lyric as like a mind fuck or something, or like, I don't know. It's like, it seemed like just by using that word, he was sort of thinking of the lyric in that way, as if they used the word great in a lyric, and then he said, well, that's a great lyric, That's like, that's a mind blowing lyric, because they use the word mind fuck, which is sort of like a term for like mind blowing, or like something paradigm shifting or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, the subliminal mind fuck America. I mean, that's kind of a potent phrase there. The subliminal mind fuck America. That kind of packs in a decent amount of really what is going on, even if Green Day seemed to be, you know, some of the most transparently robotic supporters of mainstream society these days. Anyway, I guess back then maybe mainstream society was probably a decent amount more conservative. Actually, it's actually kind of funny because they sort of represented the subliminal mindfuck America. Okay, I've got two, I think from the same person, about actually rap this time. The two Jedi Mind Tricks lines, particularly Vinny Paz in Jedi Mind Tricks, which it mostly is anyway. But two Jedi Mind Tricks lines. The first one, actually maybe three, but the first one, this was a different kid, and later on, my friend, he was pointing out how good he thought actually, let's do four from the same friend. I think he talked a lot about, or he mentioned a few Jedi Mind Tricks lyrics, but he was talking about how cool he thought the lyric was, like Calgary Flames putting fire on ice, because as he told me, the Calgary Flames is a Canadian hockey team, and he ended up going to Yale, and he was, this is a perspective of a more innocent time, perhaps, in a person's life, who was a smart person and did end up, like, going to Yale, and I assume he's a multimillionaire at this point. Like, sincerely, I assume, I doubt multimillionaire, maybe, but I bet you he's fairly well off. But he pointed this out. He was like, he was from, let's stop that line of questioning. I won't describe him anymore, but he pointed out that he thought that it was a really cool line when when Vinny Paz says, like Calgary Flames putting fire on ice. Like, and I think there's even more, like, I think even the phrase putting fire on ice has sort of like, as sort of like is sort of a metaphor for something. Like, well, it is a metaphor for something. He's not actually putting fire on ice, like, but so what is he talking about even then? But it's like Calgary Flames is putting fire on ice because the hockey team is named the Calgary Flames, so flames like fire, and they skate around on the ice, on the ice rinks. But there's another one. This is one that I really thought was very funny, and I think I and he laughed about this maybe more than once, but there's a really funny line. It's similar to all the hilarious lines that I referred to in the self-titled verse or I referred to one in the self-titled Battle Cry verse by Army of the Pharaohs, but self-titled is one of the rappers in the group. I referred to one, but like he has a bunch of great lines, and I've talked about that verse before and or written about it elsewhere, mattthoughts.com, whatever, talked about it there maybe. He has a great verse, and maybe even in Mixed Metaphors on YouTube, but he has a great verse, and it's really funny, and it's similarly funny in style, sort of the style of like saying something almost Tim and Eric-y, saying something that sounds so stupid it's hilarious, but Vinny Paz probably like beats every one of self-titled's lines in Battle Cry with this song, and I'm not sure which song it is. It may be as late as Servants in Heaven, Kings in Hell, but it may be in Violent by Design. I don't think it's in the Psychosocial. I think it's after that. But it may be Violent by Design or later. But in any case, Vinny Paz's line here is Sons of Evil like Robbie Knievel. And I didn't even perform it in a way to make it sound as funny as he makes it sound, but like he really stresses Robbie, like, and he has sort of a growly kind of grumbly voice anyway. He really stresses Robbie in that line as if to indicate very clearly this is the punchline. Robbie Knievel, because his dad was Evil Knievel. We are sons of evil like Robbie Knievel. It's such a funny line, and the way he just like really makes that Robbie stick out like a sore thumb in the line.